So it's increasingly looking like there will be U.S. boots on the ground in Iran. And I want to show you guys what's going on. This is the headlines from Financial Times. Trump raises the stakes in Iran by weighing deployment of U.S. ground forces. And we just talked about this in the last video. They're talking about using the special forces first to go after uranium. And then later, this also says Democrats and some Republicans fear a deepening involvement in the war with no clear exit strategy. While we're learning about possible U.S. boots on the ground, we're also hearing the seventh service member has died under Trump's Iran war. This is from Tampa, Florida. It says last night a U.S. service member passed away from injuries received during the Iranian regime's initial assault attacks across the Middle East. The service member was seriously wounded at the scene of the attack on U.S. troops in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on March 1st. This is the seventh service member killed in action during Operation Epic Fury. Major combat operations continue. The identity of the fallen warrior will be withheld until 24 hours after next of kin notification. And I don't like having to share this kind of news, but this is what it is. You have to know the reality of what's happening and what Donald Trump is doing. I mean, you can see right here, he's getting Americans killed. The bombing in Tehran is just awful. I've been showing you guys footage of this. Here's another photo. There's just smoke everywhere. It says, vehicles move along a highway past a war memorial statue and billboard depicting Iran's late supreme leader, who was killed in an airstrike. And this is this is smoke everywhere. This is a local video of it too. It says unbelievable footage of Iranian reporter in front of massive inferno from U.S.-Israel strikes on the oil depot. That was just last night. And, now, like I said, behind the scenes, Trump and his people are talking about U.S. ground forces. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says, by the way, a bunch of psycho Republicans want to not only draft your sons, but your daughters too. Send Lindsey Graham, Mark Levin, and Laura Loomer, all the murderous, bloodthirsty maniacs that support this America last war. And they're actually talking about a draft today. Listen to this.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be, and President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table.
So that's their response when asked about a draft. Karen Levitt's basically, we're keeping our options on the table. Marjorie Taylor Greene then says Karen Levitt doesn't rule out a draft. How about the answer is no draft and no boots on the ground? Because we campaigned on no foreign wars or regime change. And again, that's why it's important to understand the news today. And we've been talking about, right, Trump raises stakes in Iran by weighing deployment of U.S. ground forces. This is also just breaking a few minutes ago from Axios. It says, Scoop, U.S. dismayed by Israel's Iran fuel strike, sources say. I want to go through the details of what's being said because it seems like there is a bit of division, and also it sounds like to me that there's a lot of people who are leaking information concerning either what Trump is doing behind the scenes with U.S. ground forces or what Israel is doing. It says Israel's strikes on 30 Iranian fuel depots Saturday went far beyond what the U.S. expected. Right, so this was much larger than what they were talking about when Israel notified it in advance, sparking the first significant disagreement between the allies since the war began 8 days ago. It's about a week now. According to a U.S. official, Israeli official, and a source with knowledge. So we have three different sources here that are saying there's a disagreement on the oil depot strikes. The U.S. is concerned Israeli strikes on infrastructure that serves ordinary Iranians could backfire strategically, rallying Iranian society to support the regime and driving up oil prices. And you have to put this in context. They just picked their leader. It says Iran picks Khamenei's son as the next supreme leader, Farr says. So this, if this is true, because right now everything's really fluid, but before all the sort of indicators were pointing this way, that's going to be Hermione's son. And chances are he'll be far, well, I don't say far, but just say more radical than his dad. His dad just got killed. His country's under attack. America and Israelis bombing. I mean, I can see why, people on the inside and say in the U.S. are like, well, first there was the intel report that was saying any sort of, big attack by Israel and USA is unlikely to remove the regime. And now we're talking about, U.S. is concerned that Israeli striking the oil depots, which is basically poisoning the water, poisoning the air. It's an attack on just the people. So how are you going to get support of the people when you're attacking like drinking water essentially? And the whole thing's awful. So that's why I think you're getting a lot of leaks out here. Also says the Israeli Air Force Saturday strikes created large fires in Tehran, igniting flames visible for miles and blanketing the capital in heavy smoke. And we've been seeing this. The IDF claimed in a statement that the fuel depots are used by the Iranian regime to supply fuel to different consumers, including its military organs. An Israeli military official said the strikes were intended in part to tell Iran to stop targeting Israeli civilian infrastructure. Behind the scenes, Israeli and U.S. officials said the IDF notified the U.S. military behind the strikes, but a U.S. official said the U.S. military was surprised by how wide-ranging they were. Here's a quote from the U.S. side then. "We don't think it was a good idea," a senior U.S. official said. An Israeli official said the U.S. message to Israel was, quote, WTF. So I guess the U.S. was sending a message to Israel, WTF? Wow. The White House and the IDF didn't comment, so I would agree this is a major division here, if indeed this is true, but this is coming from apparently multiple sources. The big picture, while the facilities that struck are not oil production facilities, right, come out depots here, U.S. officials are concerned the footage of burning depots could spook oil markets and push energy prices even higher. Quote, "The president doesn't like the attack. He wants to save the oil. He doesn't want to burn it, and it reminds people of higher gas prices." So as you can see, he's mostly concerned about oil here and concerned about elections and stuff like that. He has no real concern about people on the ground, as we already know. He wants to actually put American boots on the ground. That's what the talk is at the moment. This is where we're at.
The Republican Party needs to get it together ASAP. I'm really glad we spent the past couple of weeks, as Sean Davis of The Federalist put it, policing some young person's group chat, what a podcast host said, and what the head of a think tank over at Heritage had to say. I'm really glad that the Republicans devoted so much time to that. That was a great move. Terrific move. Way to stick together, to really shine a light on what matters. The Republicans like to lose. They enjoy losing. They enjoy when they are embattled and in a losing position and complaining. They love it. They do it really well. Less good at winning, especially when Donald Trump is not there to get them over the line. The Republican Party is not strong. Donald Trump is strong. Republicans don't know how to win. They don't know who to run. They don't know what to do when daddy's not there to fly them across the finish line. And that's just been so obvious. Meanwhile, Trump is all over the Middle East while people's groceries bills are still high. They're still dealing with inflation. They're suffering. Like, that's it. OK, we're focus on domestic policy and on making people's lives better. That's really all I have to say. Those are my top line thoughts. There's a lot to get into on why this happened and so on, but that's my top line takeaway.
See, the problem with these people, I mean, there's a lot of problems, right, is their policies don't make people's lives better. So that part I can agree with. Now, she's going to disagree with them, like, what to do to make people's lives better. But I'm just saying everything these Republicans are doing doesn't make your life better. And as I've been saying all along, devoting all of this resources, energy, lives to the military. This is why, infrastructure is falling apart. It's absolutely awful, to be frank. And you can see Republicans complaining and they're in disarray. And we have this weird, whacked out cult culture following Trump. Thankfully, that culture's shrinking, but it still exists. I won't lie. I mean, even she's like, oh, well, Trump's a strong guy, and you have like these Republicans that just rely on, who Trump is. I'll explain it to you. You know who he is. He goes after the, frankly, just uneducated and racist. I'll just be perfectly frank. And that's what's driving U.S. politics these days. It's really ugly. And Trump's then using the presidency to profit, which is obvious. Everything's so obvious. It's all in public, and it's like these people live in this mass delusional dream or something that I can't explain. And I'll just say this: not everyone wants to participate in the Trump stuff. We have this news from OpenAI, and I've been seeing different things about how AI is being used to select targets and such. But this says here, OpenAI hardware leader resigns after deal with the Pentagon. Okay, let me read her post. This is Caitlin Kalinowski. So she's really I think she's like the head of robotics over at OpenAI. I resigned from OpenAI. I care deeply about the robotics team and the work we built together. This wasn't an easy call. AI has an important role in national security, but surveillance of Americans without judicial oversight and lethal autonomy, so basically talking about Terminator robots kind of stuff, without human authorization are lines that deserved more deliberation than they got. This was about principle, not people. I have deep respect for Sam and the team, and I'm proud of what we built together. And I think you're going to see a lot of this kind of stuff. You're seeing leaks out from the government. In this situation, you're seeing someone's like, I just don't want to be part of, I'm not in the government, but I don't want to be part of, say, work with the Pentagon and the things that they're doing. And you see Republicans in disarray, and now they're even talking draft today, which is crazy. I don't know what else to say other than the best, easiest, and simplest way to think about it is it's like a Squid Game, Hunger Game thing, where Elon Musk and Donald Trump just wants everyone else to, fight each other for their entertainment. And that's all it is to them. It's a game. And Trump, if you can see what he's doing, he's just out golfing today without a care in the world. So that's what's going on. I just want to let you know. And I'll catch you in the next video.